90% of UPSC aspirants will get inflation wrong in 2026. Not because they didn't study CPI, that is Consumer Price Index, but because they don't understand how UPSC twists it. In the exam hall, you will see four statements. Three will look correct, and one small word will destroy your answer. Today, I will show you that word. UPSC 2025 changed something fundamental. It stopped asking, what is inflation? It started asking, do you understand how inflation is measured? And that is why, and that is why CPI 2024 revision is dangerous. CPI means Consumer Price Index. Because if you only read headlines, you will fail. But if you understand the system, you will eliminate under pressure. For 12 years, India used 2012 as base year. Ask yourself, does your life today look like 2012? Data usage, food habits, transport, health, everything has changed. And consumer price index must reflect that change. Now comes the real concept. Wait. CPI is not just price. Consumer price index is not just price. It is price multiply with importance. And this is importance comes from household consumption expenditure survey. Now listen carefully. This is where UPSC sets traps. As income increases, do people spend more on food? Yes, but as a percentage, no. This is Engel's law. This is Engel's law. So, in Consumer Price Index 2024, food weight will likely decrease and services will increase. If UPSC gives a statement like this, economic growth increases food weight in Consumer Price Index, you must kill it immediately because it's not. Now comes the part students fear. Here is math. But UPSC does not test a formula. It tests consequences of formula. India uses Laspeyres Index. What is that? What is the Laspeyres Index? Which means fixed basket. Even if price changes, basket does not. And this creates a bias that is called as substitution bias. You stop buying apples. What is the substitution bias? You stop buying apples. You buy bananas. But consumer price index assumes you still buy apples. So consumer price index overstates inflation. And this is what UPSC will test. And one more thing, CPI rural versus urban. This is the real filter. This is where toppers separate. Consumer price index has three indices: rural, urban, and combined. Now answer this very honestly. Does rural consumer price index include housing? The answer is no. Zero weight. Why? Because most rural housing is self-owned. If UPSC gives housing has equal weight in rural and urban consumer price index, you don't think, you have to eliminate it. That is wrong. That is wrong statement. That is wrong statement. So now in the exam hall, what will you do? Like, look at this question. CPI combined, consumer price index combined, is used for inflation targeting. Laspeyres index accounts for substitution. Housing is excluded in rural CPI. Consumer price index 2024 uses MMRP. How many are correct? These statements. Don't rush. This where is rank is decided. You have to eliminate. Regarding statement number 1, CPI is used for inflation targeting. It is correct. Then Laspeyres index accounts for substitution. This is the trap. Laspeyres fails substitution. You may know that the statement 3 is correct. What is the statement 3? Housing is excluded in rural consumer price index. And fourth statement is consumer price index 2024 uses MMRP. Yes. Statement 4 is also correct. So answer is 3. If you got this wrong, you are still reading, not thinking. Not thinking. And one more thing I have to clearly explain, that is Laspeyres index and Engel's law. If you want to clear prelims 2026, you have to stop reading headlines and start understanding these machines. Like two concepts, Laspeyres index and Engel's law. These are I am going to give you is not definitions, but how UPSC uses them against you. What is Laspeyres index? This is the mathematical DNA of consumer price index. It asks a very simple question. How much does my old lifestyle cost today? Old basket, new prices. And that basket does not change. That basket does not change. This is your first elimination key. Fixed basket. But here is where UPSC sets traps. Real life, you stop buying apples, you switch to bananas. But CPI assumes you are still buying apples. That difference is called situation bias. And because of the consumer price index overstates inflation. Remember that overstates. The word is overstates. This is regarding Laspeyres index. I have already explained. And Engel's law. What is Engel's law? Now comes the second layer. This is Engel's law. Why consumer price index weights change? As income increases, do you spend more on food? Yes, it is. But as a percentage, no. That is Engel's law. You eat better, but food becomes a smaller part of your budget. But food becomes a smaller part of your budget. And this is exactly why CPI 2024 is changing. That is consumer price index. What is that? Food weight goes down, services go up. If UPSC says economic growth increases food weight in consumer price index, you don't think you have to eliminate. Now combine both the last pairs fixed basket, Engel's law, last pairs fixed basket, Engel's law, changing reality. Reality changes. CPI does not adjust fast enough. That gap is where UPSC questions come from. UPSC will try two things. One, food spending decreases with income. False. Food spending decreases with income is false. But only percentage decreases. And second point, consumer price index reflects consumer switching. False. It ignores substitution. CPI ignores substitution. Listen carefully. UPSC does not test concepts. It tests your ability to detect small errors. If you master this, you don't solve questions, you eliminate options. And that is how rank is decided. That is how rank is decided. In UPSC 2026 will not reward information. It will reward elimination under confusion. And consumer price index is just one system. I have created 25 question elimination set exactly at this level. If you score below 7, you are not ready. Link is in description. At Metis, we don't teach topics. We build decision systems. Because in the exam hall, you don't know, you don't need more knowledge. You need fewer mistakes. If a student feels comfortable watching your video, if your students feel comfortable watching this video, they will feel uncomfortable in the exam. And one more thing, UPSC 2026 prelims is most probable topic is CPI change, that is consumer price index. So that is why you have to focus this topic. Thank you.